I think there's enough evidence to show that a lot of the criminal underworld who have previously been involved in selling drugs on streets, on street corners and so forth, because of very strong laws against that, and the fact that if you're sanctioned for that, if you're prosecuted, you can spend long terms in prison, has meant that quite a lot of them have moved away from that type of crime and moved into providing drugs for the sports world and doping for the sports world. So there's enough evidence of that to show that it's the people around sport who are providing these products to the athletes, and it's a very well remunerated business. They're making a lot of money from it.
So what more needs to be done to tackle and combat that issue?
We need as much cooperation between all the various bodies as possible. In other words, with the sports bodies, with the World Anti-Doping Agency, the international federations, the national federations, national anti-doping agencies, and the police and the customs as well. Because it's police and customs who have the ability through the regulatory system, through the judicial system, to chase criminals and so forth. And so, if they can assist and assist sport in that way, then we stand some chance of curtailing this activity.
And what do you think should be a ban for someone who's caught taking performance-enhancing drugs? What's the appropriate ban?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer, because I've given a personal answer which for me would be a life ban, but I have to also accept that we have to work within rules and so forth, and the rules of WADA code dictate the rules, and those rules are that for a first time offence it's 2 years, can be up to 4 years, and the second time offence is a life ban. I think personally, or even as president of the UCI, I would support that we give 4-year bans where possible, and that is, it may mean a change in the rules after the next revision of the code, whereby the difference between 2-year and a 4-year ban becomes a little bit clearer in the rules. And I think that it's a little bit of ambiguity in there at the moment, which makes it difficult for international federations to go for a 4-year ban, or makes it easy, for the athlete to go to CAS and get a 4-year ban reduced to a 2-year ban.
Do you think it's right to reduce the ban of someone who would assist in catching others who are involved in trafficking?
It's a very good question, and I think one which certainly the sports world and the fans find difficult to understand, because to see an athlete who's been banned for 2 years, or should be banned for 2 years, they reckon, and when they hear that he's given assistance to the authorities, he gets it reduced to 6 months or whatever, and that people find that difficult to understand, because main reason being they don't know what assistance he gave to the authorities. Having said that, if an athlete does give assistance which can help with the entourage and can help put people in prison, for instance, who are supplying drugs, then I think it would merit getting a reduction in the ban. Contamination is it's a difficult one, because the rules state that the strict liability on the athlete. He has to be careful about what goes into his system. Once he can prove it, if he can't prove it, well then he doesn't get sanctioned. But it is the life of an athlete and the life of an elite athlete now means that he has to be really careful about what he does and what he eats and what he puts into his system, and he has to have probably more control over his foodstuffs and so forth than would have been the case 10 or 15 years ago. And they have to watch it very closely, but they have to understand and realise that if they, you cannot walk into a chemist or into a health store and buy products across the counter and think that you might continue to get away with it, because a lot of the time those products don't come under the same manufacturing regime as pharmaceutical products, and therefore it's risky. And I think most athletes now at elite level should realise the risk they're taking. I mean, the statistics show that 1% to 2%, something like that, of all tests that are done around the world are positive tests, and that's a very small number. I do believe the large number of athletes are clean. I do believe that there are some very sophisticated systems, yes, to aid and assist athletes beating the system, but I think that's getting smaller again all the time, because I think the scientific community and with the research that's been done and the work that's been put in by federations like my own with the biological passport and by the World Anti-Doping Agency, I think are certainly it means that the system has caught up on the athletes. There was a time, make no mistake about it, 10, 15 years ago when the athletes were well ahead of the system. I don't believe that's the case now.